Hey everyone! Welcome back to Speak Better Daily. I'm Emma, and today we're talking about a problem many English learners face: the fear of speaking English. You may understand English, know many words, and even write well, but when it's time to speak, you suddenly feel nervous.
I know that feeling, Emma. Sometimes you're thinking, what if I make a mistake? What if my pronunciation is wrong? What if people laugh at me? These thoughts can make you stay quiet, even when you actually know what you want to say.
Exactly. But here's the good news: you don't need perfect English to speak with confidence. You just need practice, patience, and the courage to start.
And in today's episode, we're going to share 5 simple ways to help you speak English without fear. These tips are easy to practice in your daily life, whether you're a beginner or you're already improving your English.
So relax, don't worry about mistakes, and listen carefully. By the end of this episode, you'll have simple ideas you can start using today.
This is Speak Better Daily, where we learn, practice, and improve our English together. Let's get started.
Tip 1. Stop trying to be perfect. The first and most important way to speak English without fear is to stop trying to be perfect. Many English learners know a lot of words and understand English when they listen, but they become nervous when it is their turn to speak. They start thinking, what if I make a grammar mistake? What if my pronunciation is wrong? Or what if the other person laughs at me? These thoughts can make you afraid to speak. But here's the truth: you do not need perfect English to communicate. You only need enough English to express your idea. When you speak, people usually care more about understanding your message than checking every grammar mistake you make. For example, imagine someone asks you, "What did you do yesterday?" You might say, "Yesterday, I go to the market." Maybe the correct sentence is, "Yesterday I went to the market." That's okay. You made a small mistake, but you communicated your idea. Now you know the correct sentence, and next time you can use it correctly. And think about it this way: if you never speak because you're afraid of mistakes, how will you improve? You improve by speaking, listening, making mistakes, and trying again. Every mistake can teach you something new. So start with simple English. You can say, "I'm tired, I'm hungry, I'm busy today, I'm going to school. Can you help me?" You don't need difficult vocabulary or complicated sentences. Simple English is powerful when you use it confidently. And please don't compare yourself with fluent English speakers. Maybe you hear someone speaking very fast and think, "My English is terrible." No, that person may have been practicing for many years. Instead, compare yourself with your past self. If you can speak one more sentence today than you could yesterday, that is progress. So, from today, give yourself permission to make mistakes. If you forget a word, try another word. If your grammar is not perfect, keep talking. If someone corrects you, listen and learn. Never let one mistake stop an entire conversation. Remember this: you don't become confident and then start speaking. You start speaking, and confidence comes from practice. So don't wait for perfect English. Open your mouth, speak your English. Make mistakes, learn from them, and your goal is not perfection. Your goal is progress.
Tip 2. Start with simple English. The second way to speak English without fear is to start with simple English. You don't need big words or complicated sentences to sound smart. In fact, simple English can help you speak faster, more clearly, and with much more confidence. Think about a normal conversation. Someone asks you, "How are you today?" You don't need a long answer. You can simply say, "I'm good, thank you. How about you?" That's enough. If someone asks, "What are you doing?" you can say, "I'm studying English." Simple, natural, and easy. And the problem is that many learners try to translate complicated sentences from their own language into English. Then they get stuck because they don't know every word. Instead, say the same idea in a simpler way. For example, instead of trying to say, "I would like to express my appreciation for your assistance," you can simply say, "Thank you for your help." Both sentences communicate the same idea, but the second one is much easier to remember and use. Start building a collection of simple sentences you can use every day. Say things like, I don't understand. Could you repeat that? Give me a minute. I'm not sure. That sounds good. What do you mean? These sentences are useful in real conversations. And here's the secret: simple. English becomes powerful when you practice it again and again. Don't be embarrassed because your sentences are easy. Every confident speaker started with simple words. So don't try to impress people with difficult English. Try to communicate clearly. Start simple, speak often, and slowly make your English stronger. The easier your English feels, the less afraid you'll be to speak.
Tip 3. Speak every day. The third way to speak English without fear is to speak every day. This may sound simple, but it can completely change your English. Many learners spend a lot of time watching English videos, reading books, and memorizing vocabulary, but they don't actually speak. Then, when they meet someone who speaks English, they suddenly feel nervous. The problem is not always a lack of knowledge. Sometimes, they simply haven't trained their mouth to use the English they already know. Think about learning to ride a bicycle. You can watch hundreds of videos about riding a bicycle, but watching is not enough. At some point, you have to get on the bicycle and practice. Speaking English is the same. You can learn grammar and memorize thousands of words, but you also need to open your mouth and speak. You don't need to speak for hours every day. Start with just 10 to 15 minutes. The important thing is to do it consistently. For example, when you wake up, talk to yourself in English. Good morning. I'm getting ready for the day. I'm going to have breakfast, and then I'm going to study. It may feel strange at first, but that is completely normal. So describe what you're doing during the day. If you're cooking, say, I'm making lunch. I'm cutting the vegetables. Now I'm adding some water. If you are cleaning your room, say, I'm cleaning my room. These clothes are on the floor. I need to put them away. You are turning ordinary activities into English practice. And here's something important. Don't translate every sentence in your head. Try to think directly in simple English. Instead of thinking in your native language first and then translating, look around and name things in English. See a chair? Think that is a chair. See your phone? Think my phone is on the table. This small habit can slowly make English feel more natural. Another powerful technique is shadowing. Find a short English conversation or podcast. Listen to one sentence. Pause it and repeat the sentence out loud. Try to copy the speaker's pronunciation, rhythm, and emotion. For example, if you hear, "What are you doing today?" repeat it several times. Then try saying it without looking at the sentence. You can even record your voice. At first, you might feel uncomfortable hearing yourself, but don't worry. Recording yourself helps you notice your pronunciation and see your improvement. Record yourself today, then record yourself again after 1 month. You may be surprised by the difference. You don't always need another person to practice with. You can speak to yourself. Practice in front of a mirror, describe pictures, answer imaginary questions, or even talk to an AI in English. The goal is simple. Make speaking a normal part of your life. Remember, you don't have to be confident before you start. Confidence comes after repeated practice. Every sentence you speak is training. Every mistake is feedback. Every conversation makes the next conversation easier. So, make yourself a promise. Speak English every day, even if it's only for 10 minutes. Don't wait until your English is perfect. Don't wait until you find the perfect teacher or perfect speaking partner. Start with what you have, use the English you know, and keep going. Because the more you speak, the more comfortable you become. The more comfortable you become, the less you fear mistakes. And the less you fear mistakes, the more confidently you speak. That is the power of daily practice. Small practice every day can create a big change in your English. So start in today, give yourself just 10 minutes. 10 minutes of speaking every day. No excuses.
Tip 4. Don't be afraid of mistakes. The fourth way to speak English without fear is to stop being afraid of mistakes. This is one of the biggest challenges for English learners. You may know exactly what you want to say, but before you speak, you start thinking, what if my grammar is wrong? What if I pronounce the word incorrectly? Or what if someone laughs at me? Then you become nervous and decide not to speak at all. But let me tell you something important. Being silent will not improve your English. Speaking will. Think about a child learning to walk. A child doesn't stand up and walk perfectly on the first day. They take a few steps, fall down, get back up, and try again. They don't feel embarrassed about falling. They simply keep trying until walking becomes natural. Learning English works the same way. You might say a sentence incorrectly today, but that mistake can teach you how to say it correctly tomorrow. For example, imagine you say, "Yesterday I go to the market." Someone tells you, "Yesterday I went to the market." You now know something useful. The next time you talk about yesterday, you can say, "Yesterday I went to the market." That is not failure. That is progress. Another example. Maybe you say, "She go to work every morning." The correct sentence is, "She goes to work every morning." Don't feel bad because you made that mistake. You have just discovered something that will make your English better. And sometimes you may pronounce a word incorrectly. That's normal too. You might hear the correct pronunciation, repeat it, and practice it several times. Slowly, your pronunciation becomes better. One thing you should never do is stop speaking because you made one mistake. Imagine you are having a conversation and you say something incorrectly. Don't suddenly become quiet. Simply correct yourself and continue. For example, you might say, Sorry, I went to the market yesterday." That's completely normal. Even fluent speakers sometimes correct themselves while talking. And if you forget a word, don't panic. There's always another way to explain your idea. Suppose you forget the word umbrella. Instead of becoming silent, you can say, the thing we use when it rains. The other person may understand you immediately and give you the word. This is an important speaking skill, learning how to keep the conversation going. Also, don't worry too much about what other people think. Most people are not listening to your English to find mistakes. They're listening because they want to understand what you are saying. And if someone corrects you politely, use that correction to learn. Remember, you are learning a new language. Nobody expects you to know everything immediately. You should also stop comparing your English with someone who has been speaking English for 10 or 20 years. Maybe they speak quickly and confidently, while you are still learning basic sentences. That doesn't mean you are bad at English. It simply means you are at a different stage of the journey. Compare yourself with yourself. Ask, "Can I speak more English today than I could 6 months ago?" If the answer is yes, you are improving. So, the next time you feel nervous before speaking English, change the way you think. Instead of saying, "I'm afraid I'll make a mistake," say, "I'm going to practice." Instead of thinking, "My English isn't perfect," say, "My English is improving." And instead of thinking, "People might laugh at me," remind yourself, "I'm learning something valuable." Your mistakes do not show that you are weak. They show that you are trying. Every time you speak, you are training your brain, your mouth, your pronunciation, and your confidence. Every mistake gives you another opportunity to learn. So don't hide your voice because your English isn't perfect. Use your voice, make mistakes, learn. Try again, keep moving forward, because one day you will look back and realize that the mistakes you were once afraid of were actually the mistakes that helped you become a confident English speaker. Don't fear mistakes. Fear never trying.
Tip 5. Believe in yourself. And now we've reached our 5th and final tip. And this one may be the most important of all. Believe in yourself. You can learn thousands of English words. Study grammar every day. Watch English videos. And practice your pronunciation. But if you don't believe that you can improve, speaking can still feel difficult. Many English learners have a negative voice in their minds. They say, "My English is terrible. I will never speak fluently." Or, "I'm not good at languages." When you repeat these thoughts every day, you start believing them. And when you believe you cannot speak English, you become afraid to even try. So, from today, change the way you talk to yourself. Instead of saying, "My English is bad," say, "My English is improving." Instead of saying, "I can't speak English," "I'm learning to speak English." Instead of saying, "I always make mistakes," say, "My mistakes are helping me learn." These sentences may sound small, but your mindset can have a big effect on your confidence. And remember, confidence doesn't mean that you never feel nervous. Even confident people can feel nervous sometimes. The difference is that they don't allow nervousness to stop them. Imagine you're meeting someone new and they speak English. Your heart starts beating faster and you think, I don't know what to say. Instead of walking away, take a breath and start with something simple. Hi, nice to meet you. How are you? That first sentence may feel difficult, but after you say it, the next sentence becomes easier. Then you can ask, where are you from? You can say, what do you do? You can ask, how long have you been learning English? You don't need to have a perfect conversation. You just need to start the conversation. Another important thing is to celebrate small victories. Maybe today, you learned 5 new words. Maybe you spoke English for 10 minutes without stopping. Maybe you understood an English conversation that you couldn't understand last month. Maybe you finally pronounced a difficult word correctly. Don't ignore these small achievements. There is a proof that you are improving. Sometimes we look at fluent speakers and think, I want to speak like them, that's a good goal. But don't forget to appreciate how far you have already come. You may not be where you want to be yet, but you are probably much further than where you started. And never be ashamed of being a beginner. Every fluent English speaker was once a beginner. Every person who speaks English confidently once struggled with vocabulary, pronunciation, grammar, and fear. They didn't become confident because they were perfect. They became confident because they kept practicing. So, if someone speaks English better than you, don't feel discouraged. Use them as motivation. Listen to how they speak. Learn from them. Ask questions. Practice more. Your journey is your own. You don't have to improve as fast as someone else. You just have to keep improving. And here is something I really want you to remember. Confidence is built through action. You cannot simply sit at home and wait for confidence to appear. You build confidence by doing the things that make you nervous. Speak English even when you feel nervous. Answer questions even when you are unsure. Read English out loud. Record your voice. Talk to yourself. Have conversations. Make mistakes. Learn from those mistakes. Then do it again tomorrow. Every time you do this, your fear becomes a little smaller and your confidence becomes a little stronger. So if you are watching this episode and thinking, my English is not good enough, I want you to stop for a moment. Take a deep breath and tell yourself, I don't need perfect English. I just need to keep practicing. Say it again. I am learning. I am improving. I can speak English because you can. Maybe it will take time. Maybe you will make hundreds of mistakes. Maybe some days will be difficult. But if you keep going, you will become better. And that brings us to the end of our 5 ways to speak English without fear. Don't try to be perfect. Start with simple English. Speak every day. Don't be afraid of mistakes. And most importantly, believe in yourself. These 5 tips are simple, but if you actually practice them, they can change the way you feel about speaking English. So don't just listen to this episode. Use it. Choose one tip today and practice it. Then come back tomorrow and practice another one. Little by little, sentence by sentence, conversation by conversation, you will become more confident. Remember, your English journey doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to keep moving forward. You have a voice. You have ideas. You have something to say. So don't let fear keep your English inside you. Speak English. Make mistakes, learn, grow, and keep going. This is Speak Better Daily, and I'll see you in the next episode.